All right, this whole video series has led up to this moment. I've got a matrix here, and this one is based on that organic LED from last time. So remember, we kind of started it at this organic LED level. So these are organic, and then if we look at, I meant to close that, gave you a little bit of a preview. But matrix types, multicolor, light emission, these are all the 3-dot children below this 2-dot, which is where I started it. But let's refine this thing. So we can refine this using this refine panel. See, search options, history, and the new version of the matrix, even if you build one by hand, now has all of the same options for refining that you would have in a normal query. But instead of a query, we're going to refine a matrix. So for example, I might say, well, let's look at this class here, but let's remove expired patents and then rerun it, right? Remember, that's that deduping at the serial number level. So we just did that. Or maybe let's add the other global collection, and that's where the Chinese patents are. So I'm going to add if I just did other global, I'd get all collections, but I'm going to say and country code :CN. And I can rerun the matrix. Now I'm only looking at Chinese patents in this OLED area, right? So if I click on all assignees, if I click on this 5949 number, I will get, this pretty little query here. But these are all the Chinese documents, right? So all of these nodes are now restricted to Chinese. So I'm going to delete that, and we'll go back and we'll add US patents and apps, and maybe get rid of other global, and rerun the matrix. And so now we're looking at the US patents and apps deduplicated. Okay, so a couple of other things that we might want to do. We might want to do just a date range. Who's got stuff recently? And so I could put a specific explicit date in, but I never do that, and I always want to teach you this now math. So I'm going to say now minus 5 years to now. That just means published in the last 5 years. See, publication date, right? Different types of dates, but published within the last 5 years. And so I can rerun the matrix, and it's fully restricted the entire landscape all the way to the details of these crazy nodes to only patents or applications serially deduped that have been published in the last 5 years. Right? Maybe I want to go to 20 because I'm going to go to a little bit broader landscape, and we'll run the matrix. A lot of times when I used to demo the matrices by hand, I would create this crazy query up here to basically find patents in the grace period. So you could do it by hand if you know the crazy query. Go ahead, type it in and rerun the matrix, and it will restrict to only patents in the grace period. But it's a common one, and so we just added it as a radio button. And when you run the matrix, now these are just patents in this OLED patent that are late, right? They're currently late to be paid. They're in between that 3.5 year and 4 year window, right? The 3.5 year expired, so they can still maintain them, but they have to pay. The extra $160 today as a late fee, and so or it could be after between 7.5 and 8, or 11.5 and 12 years, but that's what a grace period is. So if I clicked into these Samsung display patents, here's 16 matrix type display patents. They're all late pays. They have not paid on time. And so maybe these patents are for sale. Maybe there's good stuff. Maybe Samsung is just sort of drop these. Who knows? And they will ultimately maintain them. So that would be in grace period. But what about when you're managing your portfolio or anybody else? Anything with current maintenance due. Now that's a little different. We're kind of shifting 6 months to the left. So basically, they're going to be where their maintenance period is between years 3 and 3.5. So maintenance is due; they could just pay, and they have their maintenance due, or between 7 and 7.5, or 11 and 11.5. So right, just a shift to the left by 6 months. But again, here are the set of patents that are there. Or what about patents? Oh, great, new Java. Let's just not install that. What about patents expiring? Now this would be using the expiration date, which is an estimated expiration date in the next 2 years, right? Because maybe we need to look at this landscape and there's some patents. Now OLED is pretty new stuff. There's a few things coming in Universal Display Corp. These will all be older patents. See, they're all 5 million series, right? Let's look at the publication date. So they're definitely older, and they will be expiring in the next 2 years. Right, so we can look at it in various ways, or we could just go back to none and get our entire list. Sometimes you've got a crazy query. Let's think of one. Okay, so if I'm going to go to my help because, well, I remember it, but you probably don't. The inbound references, or other words, forward citations. So there's our I'm going to copy that. That's the field code. So, because what I want to find is, okay, patents. So I'm going to use that field code. That is just the how many forward citations it has. And let's do a range query. So we'll do a square bracket, and I'm going to say from 10 to star. So just 10 or more. All right, that's how you say. So we're going to run this entire matrix, but only patents that have at least 10 citations. Oh gosh, what if we change it to 50? I wonder what would happen. So now I'm saying it's got to be 50. So I'm going to rerun the matrix. Now these patents all have at least 50 citations, right? We'll look at these Canon patents, right? So here, wow, that's an app, wow, with 50 citations. And let's look at our forward citations, and we're going to get lots. 1,320. Well, I would guess that's at least 50. So there are the citations there. So the nice thing about these is that you're not limited, right? So I can just go back to none, get rid of this. I'm not limited to just what the system gives me. I can change my collections and the dates and how I want to dedupe it, and actually put a OLED. Right? So basically I'm saying that keyword has to exist. So see, I removed my constraints. That keyword has to exist anywhere in the patent. Does it significantly change the landscape? Or maybe, let's say it's got to be in the independent claims, ICLM. Independent claim has to have the word OLED. So, to do these well, so here we go. Look at that. Samsung Global OLED Tech, who knew? So here's how they lay out. 56 using RGB, using color, so we'll look at these, and they're all going to have the word OLED, organic LED, right, in the independent claims. And so that is how you can drill in and now really use the power of this matrix to, in real time, look at it from all different kinds of angles. Using any of the, well over 150 different field codes we have, you can create the craziest string here and just look for patents across the entire landscape that has that have, for example, maybe they've paid late, right? We have queries for that, right? So you just want to see, who's paying late and where are they paying late, and so we'll find that. All right, so that is, you can use this refined panel just like you would any other search, but now we're refining a matrix. So let's talk about one more thing in this video, and that would be adding an additional assignee. Well, remember, here are the top 20, right, in this OLED landscape, and then we've got other. So really, the question is, who's the 21st biggest assignee? And maybe they're important. So I'm going to drill into this other assignee area. And then I'm going to look at these by current assignee. And I'm going to check a few. I'll just check the top 3. And the reason I'm going to check them is because I don't feel like typing. I'm just going to copy that. And then go here, and so LG isn't on the list, so I'm going to add them. So I'm going to add first a label, right? This is just a label, so I'm going to call it LG Electronics. There's no query associated with that. Well, notice these queries. ANC, assignee name current, Cambridge Display Tech. ANC, so we want to go ANC LG, right? So I'm going to say ANC, I shall use quotes, LG Electronics Inc., and we'll rerun the matrix, and we've just added that new row, right? If they're more important, I can put them maybe right under Samsung. And now we can look at LG. We just added them that quickly. So you can add as many as you want, save it out, and then of course reuse it going forward. I'll do another video on saving. So that is adding additional nodes inside of a claim IP. So let's go look at our, oh, you know what? One other thing I have to show you, it's pretty awesome, is transactions, right? So I'm going to check patents that have transacted, right? So what I've done is, and I have the assignee type is current, right? Which means all of these are going to be ANCs instead of ANO, which would be original, right? So assignee type is current, which means these are the buyers. So I'm saying the patents have transacted and they're currently owned by these guys, right? So who's JOLED? Gosh, they sure have a lot of patents that they've acquired. Let's go see what they've got. 585. Where are they getting them from? From Panasonic and Sony. So it's probably some sort of joint venture, wouldn't you think? Between those two. So all of those were transferred from Sony and Panasonic to JOL, Japan OLED. Inc. So that is showing you that. Well, who's selling patents, right? So I'm going to flip it. Instead of current, let's choose original. So now patents that have transacted, but now flip all of these to A&Os, and let's run the matrix. Original. So these are the sellers. So across this entire matrix, who has sold patents? Well, we know Sony and Panasonic did, right? They sold them to these guys. So that's why they've got big numbers. How about Samsung? Who are they selling them to? We'll click in. Oh, you know, this one could be a transfer. Yeah, this was an internal transfer. So we can see that and detect that. So that is another great one to refine. And you know, again, you can do this same stuff using the advanced syntax up here in your global query, but we added it as just a couple of quick buttons so you can kind of understand the transaction landscape all the way through what type of patents are selling or are being purchased. So that's a little bit on refining. The next video is going to be just as cool. Talk to you in a little bit.